Hi everybody, this is Agnes from Sediment, and today let's explore what sets apart good somm from a bad somm. Have you ever sat down in a restaurant excited about the upcoming dining experience only to have it ruined by a sommelier? I no longer work as a sommelier on the floor, but that is where my wine career started. In fact, I am proud to say I won the Latvian Sommelier Championship and I was the very first woman to achieve this title. But when I was still working as a sommelier on the floor, I encountered many different situations, both good and bad, and some downright ugly. Often I saw guests feeling intimidated by sommeliers, hesitating or even rejecting their help, usually due to previous bad experiences. This always frustrated me because I knew that I had the chance not only to lift their dining experience with our wine offer, but I also had some nice bottles not listed on the wine list, all offering amazing value. So today, let's look at bad sommelier behaviors and explore what a good experience with a sommelier should be. When spending money on wine, we all want to feel as comfortable as possible. And I am sure that many regular wine consumers cannot even imagine how expensive wine can really be. So it is completely normal to let the sommelier know how much you would feel comfortable spending on wine that evening. The acceptable price per bottle can vary depending on each situation. However, even when telling straight your wine budget, I have seen many sommeliers easily pass that number without a hint of guilt. In my view, this is one of the worst sommelier behaviors. Therefore, it is completely understandable if you decide not to have a sommelier at your table next time, opting to choose on your own or perhaps just order a beer. However, good sommelier will present you with several options at different price points and, unless encouraged otherwise, will not go straight to the most expensive wines. Furthermore, a great sommelier will take note of the price of the wine you are inquiring about or pointing to on the wine list and will stick to that price range when suggesting other wines to you. One reason we are given a wine to taste before it is served to the rest of the party is to ensure it is not corked or otherwise faulty. Unfortunately, wines can sometimes be ruined for whatever reason, so you have a right to refuse that bottle and not find it later in your check or bill. However, some sommeliers will insist that the wine is fine, even when it is not, and will try to persuade you to accept the bottle. In all honesty, I don't understand why this really happens because winemakers and distributors typically replace those bottles or reimburse the restaurant. Sommeliers should know better and are there to enhance the dining experience. Even if a client does not realize a wine is bad, a sommelier should explain the issue and exchange the bottle. And I will go a step further. Even if the wine is technically fine and there's no reason to exchange it, I would still probably do it, with few exceptions though. Because I would want my guests to enjoy their experience and come back the next time. Unfortunately, I have experienced this myself. At a rather fancy restaurant where my partner and I wanted to choose something nice to celebrate, the sommelier not only did not pay any attention to me, but he also absolutely ignored my partner's request to hand me the wine list and let me make the choice. It was becoming so ridiculous that my partner had to physically take the wine list from the sommelier's hands, who had been exclusively showing the most expensive bottles of champagne, and pass it to me. I have even read about such situations in prominent wine magazines where women were so neglected that the wine not only was not presented to them, but also was not offered for tasting, despite the fact that they were the ones who ordered it. At this day and age, this is a very, very bad taste. A great sommelier will present the wine list to whoever wishes to see it and will allow them to browse the list and choose wines also without their help. Moreover, the wine should be presented and offered for tasting specifically to the person who ordered it, unless instructed otherwise. This, in my view, is one of the reasons why some guests argue that sommeliers are arrogant. In the most simple and naive way, an inexperienced sommelier will listen to your preferences and then recommend a wine they personally have tasted and remember enjoying. Such sommeliers may lack the experience or knowledge to offer you what you were describing. However, there is another level to this, a particularly nasty one. It is disproving certain wine styles, grape varieties, or categories and refusing to offer them to guests even when they specifically ask for it. This behavior can come across not only as pretentious and arrogant, but can also leave guests feeling confused and dissatisfied, forced to drink wine they don't like. In contrast, a good sommelier will listen carefully what guests would like, ask any additional questions if necessary, and ensures they offer wine that meets the guest's preferences, regardless of the sommelier's personal taste. Of course, sommeliers should know their wine list well, understand how wine is made, and with what food it is best served with, or vice versa. However, the issue arises when sommeliers make unilateral decisions about how you'll enjoy your wine. This includes choosing the serving temperature, whether the wine should be aerated, decanted, or not. Many people prefer their red wines slightly chilled, while some might enjoy their white wines a bit warmer. Ultimately, it is the guest who is paying for the wine, and therefore the guest should decide how they wish to enjoy it. The same goes for decanting. If sommelier choose to aerate or decant my wine before asking me first, I would be quite upset. I don't like my wines aerated, as I prefer to follow their development in the glass, how it opens up and changes over time. On the other hand, there are sommeliers who outright refuse to decant Pinot Noir or wines priced under 100 euros. All of this is pure unprofessionalism and creates gap between good and a bad sommelier. A great sommelier will inform you if wine needs decanting due to sediment, or suggest aeration and be able to explain why. They will also inform you about the temperature the wine has been kept and ask you if you like it to be lower, warmer, or maintained. They might even seek your preference on wine glasses. All this demonstrates their recognition of individual tastes and their desire to ensure you have the best possible experience with the wine you have ordered. Thank you for watching, and let me know in the comment section below what sommelier habits you find the most annoying. And if you are curious about my scandalous decanting habits, make sure to watch this video next.